Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in that situation where you wanted to grab dinner somewhere, but you couldn't find anyone to go with you? So you just grab something quick instead and eat alone in your room. Or there's an art exhibit you want to see, but no one you know wants to go, so you don't. And you don't do these things alone because you may feel like people might think you're a weird loner if you do. Choosing to stay at home is just a shortcut that's safer and one that many of us are all too familiar with. And why not make the present as exciting as you can? And that brings us to what I wanted to talk about tonight. There's one thing I love doing alone, and that is traveling. My name is Alyssa Hsing. I'm 20 years old and a junior here at Barnard, and this is probably how you'll catch me at the airport. I've been to London, Japan, and Singapore alone, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know about you, but for me, I have a list of places I want to see. I also had the mindset that, okay, I'm going to see all these places once I find the friends who also have the time to do so. And the thought of that made me realize I'm never going to see all those places with that mindset. One thing I've learned at Columbia is that a lot of people are flakes. And more so, it's extremely difficult to coordinate schedules. I've come to realize that there is no magical time when it's the right time for you and other people. Most of you in the audience are in your 20s, and the idea of doing things alone may seem daunting. Most of you have traveled with family and maybe friends, and that's totally okay. I've had some incredible trips with family and friends. But I want to offer you this idea, traveling alone. For those who have or are considering it, amazing. If you've never considered it before, I hope by the end of this talk you will. The idea of traveling alone sounds insane, and you may wonder why anyone would. And it's perfectly normal to be afraid of traveling alone. However, the first point I want to make is that being alone does not mean being lonely. In fact, I can promise you, you will meet people traveling alone and not just creepy people at a bar. Because look, chances are, when you go to a country, you are going to go to touristy spots. And at these spots, you are going to run into other travelers, many of whom are also solo, pairs, or groups. So how do I meet these people? One way I found to meet people is through lines. When I was in Tokyo, I had the crazy idea of going to a fish market at 2:30 a.m. to wait in line for a 5 a.m. tuna auction. Safe to say, I met some really cool people. I met some consultants from San Diego, some Disney cast members from Florida, and a guy from South Africa who's on the national Japanese rugby team. We ended up exchanging contact info and later met up the following night to explore nightlife in Tokyo. Suddenly, I had 4 new friends to explore a place called Kiss Alley and these tiny cramped bars that held maybe 10 people max. And through this adventure, I discovered what raw person tastes like. The second place I found to meet people is through the place you stay. Going solo, I recommend staying at a hostel. It may not be as fancy or as nice as a hotel, but hostels tend to cater to a younger crowd, many of whom are also solo and are looking to meet other people, while hotels cater to 2 kinds of people, families and people in business, not really the kinds of people you should be trying to meet. And the third way I found is at the bar of restaurants or in cafes. So why do I love traveling alone? One reason I love traveling alone is because you have the ultimate flexibility. You can do what you want to do, see what you want to see, eat whatever, whenever, wake up whenever, and you don't have to compromise with anybody else or have to worry about how another person feels. And oh my gosh, this makes trip planning so much easier. You are the master of your itinerary. You can decide to wander around the British Museum all day or sunbathe on the beach, and there's no one to tell you no. And let's be real, sometimes your best friends aren't the best travel partners. Like as my friend puts it, LML, yeah, you probably wouldn't want to travel with me. I think you'd just be so pissed the whole time because we don't get our shit together until like 12 p.m. every day. So what about safety? I think it's a huge misconception, especially as a young woman, that it is dangerous to travel alone. But I think the basic rules apply here. Be smart, do your research on where you're going, and plan. Take basic precautions like share your itinerary with a family member. But also realize it may not be the smartest idea to do some things alone. If you're aware of your surroundings, have your phone on you, and trust your gut. That is what I can advise you to do. So how do I get started? First, choose a place. Know you may want to book plane tickets more than 2 months in advance before prices skyrocket. And then you plan. There are a ton of travel blogs and travel resources like TripAdvisor to give advice on where to go, where to stay, what to eat, and how to prepare. And then you do further research, like find out if you need a visa, or if your country has any surprising laws. For example, it's illegal to bring in chewing gum into Singapore. So what have I learned? One of the biggest things I've learned traveling alone is becoming the biggest advocate for yourself. You learn that you can't let people push you around. While wandering Golden Gai, a popular nightlife spot in Tokyo, I ran into a pair of overly energetic Australians who were just so excited to meet someone else who could speak English. We ended up just popping into the bar we were sitting right in front of. And inside, when this Australian goes, "All right, let's do 3 rounds of shots," you learn to be resourceful and say something like, "Sorry, I don't really drink, and I have dinner reservations in 20 minutes at a robot cafe." "Oh my gosh, you already went to one? That's too bad, it was so great to meet you. Gotta go." The second thing I've learned is coming out of your comfort zone. For example, eating alone is probably the most irrational fear most people have. From a young age, we've all been plagued by the anxiety of, "Oh my gosh, who am I going to sit with? And will people think you're a friendless loser sitting alone?" Absolutely not. In fact, I feel like most people don't even notice or care. And if they do, they probably think it's really cool that you're traveling alone in the first place. And besides, as a party of one, you get to get into all the hot restaurants so much faster. Your bartender is probably really cool, and you're surrounded by other solo people. Because that's kind of what bars are for. In addition, there are usually tons of street markets and food centers that make eating a social event, and not just to meet other travelers, but locals as well. And you can't forget all the crazy, awesome photos you get to post on social media, and the food you get to taste, and just the fact that you're actually somewhere. And fun fact, the piece of sushi on the top of the screen is probably the second most interesting thing I've ever had, and those are sperm sacs of codfish. So traveling alone is not easy and requires a bit of planning, courage, and curiosity. However, in exchange, you get to be fully present in your surroundings and not focused on somebody else. And if you don't think you're ready, I urge you to start small. Maybe go see that Broadway show you've been meaning to see, or take that dance class you've been dying to try by yourself. Realize that you can have an amazing time alone, and this is the time to cherish the independence you have. I promise you it's not weird at all, and the world isn't as big or cold and scary as you may think. If there's something that you want to do it, regardless if you find someone to go with you. And getting into that mindset is so liberating. So I say, go out of your comfort zone. The world is too big to have to wait for someone to come with you on an adventure. You can't and shouldn't let yourself stop you from achieving your goals and dreams. So what are you waiting for?